other countries across Europe and around the world afloat. Look at the map of U.S. military bases around the world. They got bases in places they shouldn't even be. Let that sink in. The United States got military bases in places they shouldn't even be. I said they because I'm not part of that shit that they doing. I don't agree with that shit that they doing. I don't support the assassination of heads of state because they won't play by the rules that you made when you came over and ran that same shit on these chiefs. It's a new sheriff in town. I'm not falling for the okie doke. All I know is notice to agent is notice to principal. Tribal responsibility is to put it in the public domain. The public domain is recognized in law as a timestamp archivable format. All social media platforms are admissible as public domain information because the reach extends beyond 1,000 people. So notice to agent being notice to principal. That means notice to principal is also notice to agent. All these motherfuckers is on notice. They all on borrowed time. We watching this shit fold in front of their face, not like they did us, behind our back in front of our face. They did everything in secret to control us in the public. We doing everything in the public to destroy their secrets. Let that sink in. They do everything in the secret to control us in the public. We doing everything in the public to expose their secrets. Ain't no more secret squirrel shit. Adam Ant is on the job, and ain't no more secret squirrel shit. You can call him underdog if you want to, but hate it or love it, the underdog on top. And we gonna shine, baby, until this U.S. corporation drop. Go ahead, envy me. I'm Raps PBG, Platinum Back Gorilla in this motherfucker. I'm telling y'all, look, the worst thing you can do is be an independent thinker. A person that understands how to follow the spiritual path you came here to follow. A lot of people don't know how to follow the path because they become indoctrinated with the three-dimensional artificial constructs. And they are all created to keep you from ever coming to the realization of who you are and what you're capable of doing. I just wanted to see if I could put a comment in there because I ain't seen a comment yet. So, if anybody got any questions, how long I've been on here? 45 minutes. So, anybody got any questions, send me a request, and I'm going to start pulling people up. I'm going to take about 15 minutes of, I know it's going to go longer than 15 minutes. Okay, so we coming up on 50 minutes. So I'm gonna do about 30 minutes of Q&A if y'all can even come in. Let's see, Christina, where my baby at? Christina? Where is Mary? I don't know if it's gonna add you in. I don't know if it's gonna let me add anybody or not. I could be shadow banned, but I know I wanted to see Christina anyway. So see how Mary and the boys and the rest of them doing. They letting you in, Christina? Don't look like it. Don't say adding. Say adding. They might let her in. This Christina Vargas, the Gold Eye Oracle. Y'all don't even know about that. The Gold Eye Oracle see shit before it happened. They can see down the timeline and they get glimpses. I seen her eyes turn gold, and I was like, "You one of them?" Yeah, I don't know. It say adding, and it ain't letting her in though. Okay, it says she didn't answer, but I know that ain't what happened. I'm gonna see. Hey, Lazarus, Lemire, you wanna come up? Where you go? It's not. Oh, this is crazy. The teacher him and we try to invite you on camera just to see if they're gonna let you up. Anyway, so I'm gonna make a post about jurisdiction, and I already copied everything that I wanted to share in jurisdiction, but it's on this phone. But I'm gonna share it. It's gonna be on my Instagram and on my Facebook. If you want to understand a little bit about jurisdiction, because it's way more exhaustive than that, that's just the foundation for the research. Yeah, so it didn't let her up either. So it ain't they're not letting me put nobody on camera. So I might go out, come back in, and try to see if they let me invite people. But I've been shadow banned on so long on Instagram. I can't do lives over there on Instagram, and so I got to do them over here. And they don't show up on Instagram when I do them over here. But my Instagram lives used to have the option to come over here, but my Facebook live don't have the option to share to Instagram, right? So I ain't gonna hold y'all, but remember, the tribes have territorial jurisdiction grandfathered in before 1492. And the grandfather clause allows us to activate the grandmother clause. The grandmother clause, according to the tribes, is the right for the tribal mothers to allocate who belong where on the land. By trial and error, they send them to different places. Now, because the corporation just forced people together, you have all of this divide and conquer stuff going on. You have the racism, the sexism, the gender confusion, the cross dressing. All of it is literally being done on purpose as tools of divide and conquer. When you take an infant baby that's being born, you can teach that baby to be anything. You could teach that baby to be anything, and they can be good at it because they've been taught from birth. Or if you teach a boy child from birth that he a girl, he's gonna behave feminine. And some of them, when they hit puberty, their testosterone, if they ain't been molested, gonna make them say, "Hey, wait a minute, I don't like no dudes like that." But some of them, especially the real lover boy babies, them the ones that is easiest to trick into thinking that they are in the wrong body and all that bullshit. But you shouldn't be talking to children about sexual identity until they start asking the questions. Unless you see them doing something that leads you to believe somebody touching on them, none of this gender sex shit should even come up before they start getting close to a teen, 8, 9, 10 years old. Because before that, all the boy want to do is go climb a tree, as my father say, piss up a tree, sit down a stump. That's it. He want to be a boy. He want to run, and run all that energy off until he learn how to control it. But no, they rather dope him up. Tell you they got ADHD. They can't control themselves. They out of control. They fucking boys. They supposed to be out of control, but they not supposed to be trapped in your Skinner box. They not supposed to have to wait for your Pavlovian response bell to go off to tell them what move to make next. But you put them in these environments, just antithesis to their nature, and then you wonder why they not acting like their nature. They are being, you raising a lion with dogs. You raising eagles with chickens. And when the eagles start doing eagle shit, then you shoot that motherfucker down so he don't remind the other eagles they're eagles. That's called COINTELPRO. That's called Rex 84, Readiness Exercise 1984, aka the Lord Alfred Plan. Right? All that shit there. But if you don't know what they doing, they just gonna keep playing in your face. So I've been telling y'all for 5 years, every step of the way, what they've been doing. Now they come out and tell y'all about the fraud in the poison in the Jabberwocky. I still control over us than they ever had. In the 50s and the 60s, they didn't have this kind of stronghold on our psyche. They had the don't go across the tracks stronghold, but they ain't had I'm an African stronghold and I'm gonna do what Master say. They didn't have that stronghold. Niggas stopped being rebellious after the civil rights nonviolent protests. They should have kept that shit Malcolm X. But we had to educate ourselves about the condition. That's why Elijah didn't allow the FOI to take these motherfuckers to bloody warfare. But we don't know this, though. Collectively, we don't know this, but it's instrumental to know. Because then you understand your ancestors never laid down and kissed nobody's ass. Well, most of y'all ancestors didn't. Some of y'all ancestors was showing up some bootlicking ass kickers, some Jayhawks. I just try to tell it the way it is. All our ancestors wasn't the top of the food chain, and the ones that cooperated, I don't even know what to say about them. Shit. So, catch me tomorrow on the Young Elder channel, and y'all gotta understand, we've been here so long, we built here. It wasn't no here till we built it. We was Atlantis. The Great Atlan is what it was really called. Atlantis is the Greek rendition of the Great Atlan. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth tell you that he left from over here and went over there in a ship that flew, not floated. So ain't none of this stuff new. Vimana Sutras show you that there was flying crafts all the time on Earth. That ain't new. They just got rid of the blimps in order to make room for modern aeronautics. Modern aeronautics is based off ancient principles of aviation. That's how they knew how to do it. They told us they discovered King Tut tomb over there in Egypt. There's only one problem with that. He was buried in the Grand Canyon. He's buried in the Grand Canyon. He wasn't buried in what you call Kemet, Egypt over there. He wasn't buried over there. He wasn't in the Valley of the Kings. He was buried in Arizona. And you don't believe me when Tupac come back asking, where they bury you at last time? I was buried in Arizona. Go back to the interview. T. Rogers is telling you that he told him he was going out on his own land. He wasn't going out on no foreign land. Everything west of the Rocky Mountains, Tupac Amaru, everything between the Appalachians and the Rocky Mountains. Chiefs called me to settle that shit. Louisiana Purchase shit. Louisiana Purchase was the first. It had nothing to do with the right to colonize. The agreement, the Louisiana Purchase, was a protectorate agreement. That means that if we don't put together our own Mississippian military back together, they were supposed to protect us from the French, from the Spanish and the English. What they do, they literally sold us to the English, literally, under the pretense of selling the Port of New Orleans and the protectorate rights of the Louisiana Territory that spanned from the Gulf of America all the way into what they call Canada today. This is why Trump talking about recovering Canada. We don't know history because they taught us a semblance of history, right? So we didn't know that the Louisiana Purchase also included Canada. What languages do they speak in Canada? They only speak two, English and French. Other than the tribes, you got tribes up there, Inuits in Alaska. You got Inuit tribal mixes throughout the Canadian territories that speak their tribal tongue. But Western tongues, they only got two main Western tongues. Well, they got a lot of Spanish people starting to import there. So now you got three primary major tongues. This is the Louisiana Territory. Canada was part of the Louisiana Purchase, the Protectorate of Canada. Canada don't got no army. If somebody come and fuck the Canadians up right now, the only thing gonna stop them is the lower 50 gonna roll out on their ass, and they already know it. They don't need no army. All they got is some goddamn mounted police riding around with some batons like they in England. Now they started to arm them in the last 50 years or so, but they used to didn't even have the right to, they couldn't carry guns. Only the hostile territory. Hostile territories fit is the continental states, or the 48 states. In Alaska, in Hawaii, they annexed Hawaii. They didn't even ask them people. That's fraud. You can't impose your jurisdiction and take away somebody else's tribal jurisdictional rights. And don't expect for us to figure out what you did. Once we figure it out, it's about putting it in the public domain, coming up with a comprehensive description for enough members of enough tribes to know one of these chiefs got it right, and this is what we need to be paying attention to. These is the receipts, right? I can tell the story, or I could teach the class. When the chief with the chief, I'm just telling the story, but I do got the receipts. I can show you everything I'm talking about, and most of us are blind to the fact that we are occupied territory of a foreign body politic masquerading as our corporate government. The corporation is a subsidiary of the Crown of England, not the tribes. You got to understand how jurisdiction works, territorial rights. We have territorial rights, right? We got a right to change any kind of governing system on the land that's no longer compatible with the nature of the tribes. We can change that shit. We don't got to ask permission. We just got to come to a consensus among ourselves that enough is a goddamn enough. But it's too many of us with our nose in the air and we too entitled to do some stuff called strategic thinking, right? Understanding the military invasion that was imposed upon us and how we end up subjugated by the invader and what we must do in order to overcome the invasion. If we don't put this stuff together, then we're gonna be left out in the dark because it take all of us, it take all the tribes to be aware. And then every tribe gotta organize within their own tribe. What do we do with this information now that we got it? Now that we know that everything in DC has been a 100% fraud, what do we do? Each tribe's responsibility is to discuss among themselves what they do, pick their champion, and all of the champions of all of the tribes gonna stand in solidarity, and we gonna have a tribal convention to resume matriarchal order and the great law. That's it. We don't gotta do nothing else. First, we gotta come to the agreement among ourselves that the information is available. The babies got it now. They go put this shit together because Rod Hayes telling them how all of it go. And when they put it together, when we get our old ass out their way, because we done had our day in the sun, it's their turn now. It's their turn to organize and raise hell. It's not our turn now. We missed our turn. We was too busy hanging out on street corners wearing fat gold ropes, bumping booming systems. When our turn was here, we was too busy trying to get the bag when it was our time. The bag don't get the land. The bag can get a piece of land. But to get the totality of the land, we had to follow the oral tradition of the tribes. They created the paperwork. So if we write, they have to surrender the foundational document of which the fraud has exposed. The what they call a loyal title coming out of Europe